welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's the author of the book First Brush Your Teeth, Grief and Hope in Real Time. No other than Miss Lisa Espinoza.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fabulous, fabulous like you, Miss Lisa, and thank you so much for your time. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Lisa Espinoza. I am mother of four, grandmother of two, mother of two crazy dogs. Been married for 42 years, and just I love my life. I have a wonderful life.
Wonderful life, Miss Lisa Espinosa. Thank you so much for sharing your empowering books to the world. So, what is the central theme of First Brush Your Teeth?
Well, the way that the book came to be was on December 15th, 2018. I got a call from a local hospital that my son was there. He'd been hit by a car. He'd been riding his bike to work and was hit by a car. Um, and without filling in all the details, basically, he was in the hospital for 18 days and we lost him on January 1st, 2019. His name was Chandler and was my youngest son. So I had three sons and then a daughter 8 years after my youngest son, Chandler. So when he was in the hospital, a friend of mine really encouraged me to write a blog on Caring Bridge to keep people abreast of how Chandler was doing. And I didn't really want to, I wasn't interested, but she said, "You're a writer. You process through writing and it can help people. I really think you need to consider it." So I thought about it and I decided to start writing updates every day on Caring Bridge, and which is a great site for people who to give updates on loved ones and progress in serious medical situations. And so as I began to write, I had people respond to me saying that somehow my words were helpful to them. And so I just kept writing. And then after Chandler passed, I I knew that he had wanted to become a writer. And I
Yes.
said, I am going to write every single day for this first year and in honor of Chandler and his desire to be a writer and as a way to process my own grief and as a way to help other people who are going through their own journeys of loss and grief. So I did. And I've jokingly said, I don't do anything every single day except brush my teeth and go to the bathroom. Like there's for me to write every
Yes.
single day. It was a lot, and some days it was it felt like too much. I just didn't want to think about it that day, but I did for a year. And at the end of that year, I'd gotten feedback from people saying, "You gave a voice to my own grief," or "You gave me hope that I can get through the loss of my child." And um, though there's nothing that can make losing your child better, there's no such thing, but there's some point of redemption when you hear that your pain can, in some way, help someone else if you are willing to offer that hope. And so I decided I wanted to publish what I'd written every day for the past year. And that is what First Brush Your Teeth, Grief and Hope in Real Time is. It's the collection of my everyday writings. So it's not a how to, it's not a retrospective. So you're looking back at, well, this is how I felt at about month 3 or month 6. It's this is day 60. This is day 4. This is day, you know, 300. So I've heard from other moms who've lost their um, children, that they were able to look at like month 6 and read it and say, okay, she she did something that was fun. She did something that brought her joy. Maybe at month 6, that can be me in some way. So so that's how First Brush Your Teeth came to be.
Miss Lisa, again, thank you so much for sharing your empowering book to the world. So, how did you balance grief and hope throughout the book?
Well, I think one of the things that is really important, or was important for me, was to let people in. And it's easy to try to isolate, to try to kind of build walls because you think, well, no one understands anyway. But for me, to allow friends and loved ones in to my journey of grief, uh, it helped me every single day. Um, I mean, just to have one of the most meaningful things was a friend of mine who said, "Can I bring you a there's a place here called Jamba Juice." She said, "Can I bring you a Jamba Juice or a nectar, like a juice drink?" And I said, "You know what? I would like that." And that was like maybe a week or two after Chandler's death. And she sat on my couch with my drink that felt like a little treat. And she said, I don't even know what to say. And I said, "You know what? That right there, that means everything. Just for you to sit here with me, to just to just be with me and say, I don't know what to say." Um, so for me, the hope came with being willing to let people in, being willing to read the stories of others that had gone through similar situations, and glean hope from them. Um, my faith, which is kind of central to my life, that gave me hope. Uh, I, my kids, I they're you know they're everything, and they gave me hope because they kept putting one foot in front of the other, and I thought we can do this for each other.
Certainly. So, Miss Lisa, why do you think the title emphasizes something as simple as brushing your teeth?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. So, in the early days after Chandler passed, you don't know how to move your body. You don't almost don't know how to breathe. You Everything takes effort. And it occurred to me, if I could just get out of bed and brush my teeth, then maybe I'd go to my closet and put on some clothes. And maybe I would go downstairs and maybe get a bite to eat, and maybe sit down with a cup of coffee or tea, and think about what to do next. But if I could just brush my teeth, that would be the first step. And I think that's just a picture of that, of the grief journey. It is one step at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, little by little. You can't look all the way ahead and go, okay, it's just too much. It's exhausting. It's unfathomable. How do I just get through this hour, knowing that my son's not going to walk through that door? So I think First Brush Your Teeth is a tangible, practical step in this journey of grief, that I think can at least propel you forward just for that 5 minutes. And that's a picture of the grief journey.
So, Miss Lisa, in what ways is this memoir different from other books about loss?
Well, I think the biggest difference is it is in real time. Like I said, it's not a retrospective. It's not a how to. It's not, this is how I got through it. It was every single day. I remember I was with a friend and her daughter in New York City in October, November, after the year Chandler had passed, and my daughter was going to her winter formal or homecoming at her high school, and she had stopped by a bench where there's a bench that's in honor of Chandler, and and she took a picture there. And I was in New York City with my friends and saw this in our family chat and just cried. And right then and there in the restaurant, I wrote the blog for that day. So that's how it was. It didn't matter if I was sobbing, it didn't matter where I was at, I was going to write. And so it is this is what it was for me. Like I said, on day 5, on day 20, on day 360. So I think that's probably one of the biggest differences, is you can look at First Brush Your Teeth, you can flip to the middle and say, I wonder what her grief journey was like halfway through the first year. What was it like for her? And all grief journeys obviously are not identical. Um, there are as many different shapes of a grief path or grief journey as there are people who lose someone. But there are a lot of similarities, um, and I think that what I hope is the golden thread or the single uniting factor throughout my first year is there is hope, there is joy, um, there's movement, even though sometimes you feel like you're just stuck, but there's movement through. Um, and so I think that being able to look at it as this is in real time, that's probably one of the biggest differentiators.
So, Miss Lisa, let's talk about personal journey and reflection about the book. What moments in the book felt most emotionally raw or honest to
Mm.
you?
Oh, the first, when I would write on Chandler's first birthday after we lost him, my first Mother's Day, my first birthday, um, because he had the year before left a message for me. I'd been at work and I didn't answer. It was the summer before. And he sang happy birthday to me. He said, Mom, I just wanted to take you to lunch, but I don't know, you're probably working and I have to be at work later. So I'm just going to go to the beach. And then he sang happy birthday to me. And I've kept that message that will go with me until I die. And so every year on my birthday, I listen to that song. And that was, I mean, the firsts are terrifying. You the anticipation of what is this going to be like? What's it going to feel like when that day happens? The first Thanksgiving, the first Christmas, and of course, his accident happened right at Christmas season. So, as we start the holidays, it's always right there. It's always right there in top of mind for all of our family. Um, but but I would say those raw moments when I would sit down to write, I think they were the most poignant, the most difficult right around those firsts. I remember starting to write Mother's Day's coming up, and I don't know how I'm going to do this. So it's not. You see sort of what the mental process that goes on, not just yeah. Well, I remembered Mother's Day, and that was a hard day. It's Mother's Day's coming up, and I'm really scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope I don't just crumble and not get up. So those were those firsts, and anybody will tell you who's lost a loved one, the firsts are really especially raw.
So, how do you describe the physical and emotional impact of grief?
Oh, what was surprising to me is I would find myself sighing a lot. So in those early days, I would just be and just trying to get my breath. And I thought, what is going on? That's so weird. And I did some research and found out that yes, in fact, that's a thing. And um, and you'll be out, going doing errands or whatever, and then completely forget what it is that you were supposed to be doing. Um, and sometimes your body will just, you just kind of feel numb. I mean, all of these are things that happen with grief that I mean, I'd lost my mom when I was 18. She died of lung cancer, and it was horrific. It was horrible. It was the worst loss of my life at that point. But I didn't feel those same physiological effects as I did when I lost Chandler. I don't know the difference. Um, Maybe, I don't know, because I knew in my mind someday I'm going to lose my mom. And as hard as that was, I was like, "Oh, well, that's what happens." And then when I lost Chandler, well, you're not supposed to outlive one of your kids. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but for me, some of the physiological effects were different. Maybe, probably not for everybody. It's different, um, but I learned that grief is hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. It's hard on your heart, but it's hard on your body. And everything in you is trying to grasp and absorb the reality of what's happened. And you can't. You cannot absorb it all at once. And I think, a lot of times people talk about denial, and I don't know that it's always so much denial as it is, I can only absorb so much. I can only absorb so much. And so little by little, it sinks in and sinks in and sinks in. And it's just physically, mentally, emotionally exhausting. Um, and even now, these years later, we're now in 2025, and he died January 1st, 2019. There are still moments where it hits me and I think, he can't be gone. He was This is my son. He can't be gone, and of course, then he is gone. But it sounds insane that you would still have moments that you really can't grasp that they're gone. But I think it's that the reality that every cell and fiber of your being, I don't know that it will all sink in ever in this life. I think that it's just too much.
Certainly. So, Miss Lisa, let's talk about the healing and growth. How is healing portrayed not as a destination, but as an ongoing process?
Uh, Again, such a good question. I, in talking with other, especially moms who've lost kids, um, we kind of agree that, in a sense, we don't want to heal from losing our child because we never want to forget. And at the same time, we do want to heal, if that makes sense. We want to remember them. The loss is real, but at the same time, we don't want to be raw. We don't want to be stuck. We don't want um, to not honor our loved one and their life by not moving forward, putting one foot in front of the other for ourselves and everyone else in our lives. So um, I I think that the healing, the process has to be the hour to hour, the day to day, showing up for yourself and for your loved ones. That is where I think, for me, the healing happened, is show up for my family on all of the holidays. Show up for myself on Mother's Day. I took myself to goat yoga, and it was actually one of the most joyful experiences of my life, and it was healing. There was joy, and it was just crazy watching these little goats jump up on top of everybody's backs and eat their hair, and it was just so joyful on the worst Mother's Day that I could ever imagine. But there was healing in showing up for myself and showing up um, for my family, that they were able to take me to pizza the next, on Mother's Day, and we went for a walk on the beach. And there's healing in that. I think it to look at it long term. I don't. I think that you just have to say an hour at a time, a day at a time. Show up for yourself. Show up for those in your life, and healing will come. I don't think healing can be my goal is to heal. You can have goals along the way, but they won't look like today I'm going to heal. It looks like today I will show up for myself in my life.
Miss Lisa, very well said. Very well said, Miss Lisa. So, what would be your advice for those people out there suffering from grief?
Oh, I would say, first of all, cry when you need to cry. Do not minimize your loss. Uh, feel what you need to feel, and know that it could be like you could suffer whiplash going from I'm laughing with my friend about some silly thing, and then I'm crying uh, in the same minute. There's no rhyme or reason to how the emotions can hit and when and what they can be triggered by or not triggered by. You just feel it and you don't know why. Um, so feel what you need to feel as much as possible when you need to feel it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're in a situation where you just have to hold it together. But as soon as you can, feel what you need to feel, write about it, talk to somebody about it. Um, honor your loved one in ways that also honor yourself. Know that they want you to keep moving in your life. They want you to feel joy. They would want you to have hope. So find ways to honor them with your life. And again, the best way I can say is showing up for yourself. Um, I would say eat nourishing food, just your basics. Because when you've lost someone, um, just the basics are the first things to go. You can't sleep, or you sleep too much. You don't want to eat. You don't want to move your body, and those are the things that you really do need. You want to isolate, but you don't need to isolate. So let people in. Let them help when they say, "What can I do to help?" They mean it. Let them. Um, if people want to bring you meals or a juice or whatever, let them put good food into your body. It's exhausting work to grieve. Put good things into your body to feed it. Move your body. Go for a walk. Go for a walk. You will never come back from a walk, just a short walk out in nature. You'll never come back and say, "Oh, I wish I hadn't gone for a walk." It's always going to be good for you. So just those basic things. And first, just just brush your teeth. Just brush your teeth, and then you may get dressed, and then maybe you'll eat breakfast, and you'll keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Certainly, people, brush your teeth. Thank you for your advice, Miss Lisa. And what will be your short term and long term goals? Short term goals in writing.
In writing, my short-term goal is always to just share authentically in a way that maybe somebody else can benefit. Whatever I'm writing about. My first book was
Yes.
about encouraging young moms, and that's it was honesty, way back then, and now helping people in their grief. It's authentic. It's 100% honest and raw, and that's my goal in my writing, to be honest and in a way that benefits people.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Lisa, and hoping for more and more empowering books like this. So, how does the book highlight the importance of small victories in the face of
Oh,
heartbreak?
It's all about the small victories. We tend to want to celebrate just the big things and, oh, I got this promotion and I, you know, earned this degree but those things come few and far between. It's the small victories, it's the little victories that make up our life. And so for me, one of the small victories was within, I think, the first 2 weeks that after Chandler died. It was just too hard for me to make a smoothie. It was too many steps. I have to get the spinach and yeah, I'm weird. I have spinach in my smoothie. I had to get the spinach. I had to get the almond milk. I had to get the blueberry. I had to get too many things, and it was too overwhelming. But a couple weeks after he died, I found myself getting all of the ingredients out, and I put them in my blender, and I made myself a smoothie. That was a small victory to me, and I wrote about it. Those small victories again are markers that you can say, okay, I'm moving. I'm moving. Some days may move back a few steps, maybe a lot of steps, because grief is not linear. But then I'm gonna keep moving, and I'll mark my next small victory, whatever that is. Maybe it's I read a book. Maybe it's I take myself to my favorite park and sit and drink a coffee. But I'm going to mark my small victories along the way that I never thought I would have the energy or the bandwidth to do again.
Certainly. People, celebrate your small victories. So, what lessons about resilience and self compassion can readers take away?
Well, the thing that I say all the time to people who have lost anything, whether they lost a loved one, they've had a health crisis, it could be a divorce, it could be any kind of loss in your life. Have grace for yourself. Picture that if it was somebody else, what would you say to them? You would say, give yourself some grace. You can't expect your bar to be way up here right now. You are grieving a loss. So I would say your mantra, have grace for yourself. And as far as resilience, we aren't just automatically resilient. We kind of uh, become resilient people, and there are different ways that we become resilient. But a lot of it has to do with how we are willing to bring resources into ourselves, into our lives. It could be how we're willing to accept help from others. It could be how we make sure that we are eating good food, that we are learning from others, that we're reading inspirational stories about others who have maybe gone through something similar. There are a lot of factors involved in becoming a resilient person. And so, again, that's a journey, but we can make choices every day that help us become resilient people.
Very well said, Miss Lisa. Empowering info. Thank you so much. So, before we wrap up our discussion for tonight, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Comedy 101, in its first season. People, first season with Mr. Bob Lemon. And Comedy 101 is created to make you laugh and laugh because we believe laughter is the best medicine. So,
Yes, it is.
yes, indeed. So, Miss Lisa, what does the first brush your teeth teach us about the importance of showing themselves even in the darkest times?
Uh, I, I never would have imagined that I would be a mother who lost a child. It just was not on my radar. It's not on any parent's radar to lose their child. Um, but you don't know what you can handle. You don't know what you can do until you are faced with it. And when you're faced with it, you just take it a moment, an hour, a day at a time. Yes, you want to remember, but don't dwell. Let yourself be in this moment and continue to put one foot in front of the other a day, an hour, a day, a week, a month at a time. You can do more than you think you can.
Yes, indeed, Miss Lisa Espinoza. Thank you so much for sharing your empowering books to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books?
Yes, if you are grieving the loss of a loved one, or you know someone who's grieving the loss of a loved one, I think that first Brush Your Teeth, Grief and Hope in Real Time um, can be a trusted companion to them or to you on your journey of grief and bring you hope and laughter and joy.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Lisa Espinoza because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Lisa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.